Is there some players that are raising their stock this spring?
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Oh, welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton, and today we're going to find out who's raising their stock thus far in spring practice. The run game is excelling, and the possibility that we live in 12 personnel is growing by the day. Defensively, the depth on the defensive front's improving, and the need to get pressure on the quarterback is also improving. And in hoops, we're going to find out, and what we know is that Devin, McGlockton, and Tyler Nickel are coming back at the very least. And despite losing a lot to the portal, Vandy's going to be able to build around a solid core, and I think they're going to make progress based on all of that. So thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. So talking stock up, stock down. Okay, here's here's a few notable takes, but one of the things that I'm really starting to kind of, this team is really kind of starting to kind of dive into is the identity is there. Okay, and I know it's going to be all about the run game, and the pass game is. I don't think we should ignore the pass game. I think it's important because if Vandy's going to be able to do anything offensively, it's going to have to eventually get into the passing game, and the receivers have to be a big part of that. So, but this identity is being further driven by the fact that you're seeing who's excelling at practice, and you're getting a feel of kind of where Vandy's direction is heading as far as next season. They hope to be able to get the passing game going, but it may look a little different, right? It may just be a little bit different. And again, the receivers are going to be a big part of that, and being able to push things vertically down the field, because like I've always said, if you can't stretch the field vertically and it gets condensed, you're going to be in trouble. And I think at times Vanderbilt teams were able to condense the field because they knew there were certain situations that Pavia could not drive the ball down the field. And then when he was banged up, that became really exacerbated, and he really could not push the ball down the field. So I think it's important for them to excel at their identity, obviously, which we know is going to be the run game. We know it's going to be get the ball into Eli Stowers' hand as well. Like we know that to be true. That's the core of the offense. But we also know that in the SEC, you have to be better than just your core of offense, right? Now, when it comes time and you're in a situation where you got to have it, yeah, go back to your core, lean back on what your identity is. But I do think there are things that need to develop, and those things in time will develop, or they'll eventually figure out an option to be able to develop those things. So one of the things we look at is, and one of the things that could help, and my point is, by saying all that, is one of the things that could help, I guess, be a spark plug in that whole passing game renaissance is Martell Hight. He's showing that he can be a dynamic piece this season. And he's shown it in the return game. He's shown it on defense, and now he's getting ready to show it on offense. Like I said, I'm not sure how much he'll play at that position. I think it's, they're saying it's going to go game by game, but I imagine the way things are going, it could be almost a permanent thing where he's guaranteed 20 plays on offense, and however much more he gets after that is going to be game plan related. But, I think he's going to be somebody that this team is going to be able to rely on a great deal. And I'm excited to see kind of what he can do. And he's proving that he can handle it. Like, I know conventional wisdom's like, Travis Hunter is great. You could do that in the Big 12 at Colorado, and it's okay. You can play cornerback, but, you can't do that in the SEC. Martell Hight, I think, has a really good chance of proving that you can. And that's just because he can do a lot of different things. He has some good vertical speed. He can get open. He understands how to play wide receiver. It's going to be really, really good for this offense and could jumpstart that whole non-existent passing game that people are worried about me talking about. I even got booed. That's pretty funny. But this is this is an important element of the game. We have to talk about it. We have to talk about what the problems are, how they're fixing. You never know. Some of those guys might hear me and say, you know what, that Corey Burton guy on Locked On Vandy, he was talking bad about me, and I'm going to prove him wrong. And I hope you do. I really do. I really hope you prove me wrong. I really want to be wrong. I don't want to be right that the passing game is a massive letdown. I don't want to be right about that. But as of right now, with all the circumstances, I kind of am, unfortunately. It's Joseph McVay is also being factored in the game plan as well. He's just got to get healthy. Bosky Barrett is somebody that I could get some work somewhere. I don't know where, I don't know when, I don't know what situations, but he seems to be getting open a lot as well. And, maybe he can build a rapport with Diego Pavia or somebody's got, it's just somebody, there's talented guys. Somebody's got to step up. So this just is what it is. But I'll tell you who is stepping up. He's not a wide receiver per se, but he's a tight end, and 12 and maybe even 13 personnel could be a thing. That's Brycen Coleman. He's becoming unguardable. He is just an absolute menace out there on the practice field. And this is somebody who is stock up. These are all guys that are stock up. I'm only stock up right now. I'm not going to be negative. I can do stock up, stock down. This guy sucks. This guy's great, but I'm not going to do stock down. That's not going to, I don't really like, I know you guys are hoping I'll do like negative podcasting, but that's not going to happen. But Brycen Coleman is really starting to show out, and could be a bona fide weapon. Now, how much time he gets is going to be based on several things. Can he understand the concepts as a whole, and can he continue to develop within that and use his ability to get open? Can he be a good blocker? Like, part of being a tight end is you do have to actually block. Power, counter, zone, duo. You have to be able to block in those things. They're not always going to tag you in an RPO. So even in the new age of tight ends, you have to be able to block. That's kind of the final frontier, so to speak, for Brycen Coleman. So you got to be able to block. You got to be able to do those things, and you've got to be able to, not just be solely just a pass catcher, but 12, maybe even 13 personnel fires me up, man, because you're getting some really good, solid run blockers in there. Cole Spence is another one. He's a big 6'7" dude. He was mainly in a blocking role last year. He's somebody that could be a factor. Like I said, 13 personnel. Could we have Stowers and Coleman and Spence? Like, Spence is the inline guy, Stowers lined out wide, and Brycen Coleman in the slot. Like, could we get some sort of personnel package to where we have like one lone ranger at wide receiver and then Eli Stowers and Brycen Coleman out there running routes and blocking, and being able to run screens out of 12 and 13 personnel is great because you can get those bigger bodies out there. I'm all for this idea, and Brycen Coleman is somebody that's going to help execute that. And speaking of the run game, Jordan White, I get it. It's our identity, so we should be good at it. And I know the comments are coming, oh, well, they better be good at it. But they do is run. Yeah, they're going to be good at it. And Diego Pavia is going to make sure they're good at it. And it is going to be outstanding. Jordan White is a pure leader on the offensive line, and he is exactly what they need at center. He is exactly what's going to get this offensive line going. They were good last year, but they weren't as athletic. They were not as athletic as they have the potential to be right now. They are, at this moment in time, yeah, they're still getting used to each other. Yes. They're still getting used to switching sides. Yes. They're still getting somewhat accustomed to the system. I think they're in a much better place system-wise than they were a year ago. I think there's more support out there for them. I think there's more guys that have been through it for a year that can help. And Jordan White comes in. He's brilliant, dude, and he's probably leading the charge, and he just continues to be dominant up on the run game. He is the center that we needed, and I think he's only here a year, so that's a bummer that you only get Jordan White a year, but you got to take advantage of that. So this is going to be this offense. I think through the 12 and 13 personnel, the run game, I think you're going to have a much better go on the offensive line. Not saying they sucked last year, so don't take that for what you think it is. Did not say that. What I'm saying for this offensive line is I think they're going to be more athletic. They're going to have slightly more experience, and I think they're just going to be more geared toward, like Bryce Henderson, so freaking tall and huge. He's going to be a dominant force in the run game. He's kind of like an honorable mention. His stock is rising, and I think a lot of it's just due to the fact that he's just getting healthy and getting out there on the field and getting practicing. But this is exciting. So you have to kind of take it. I think the offense as a whole, you could say, is stock up, but these guys are help leading the charge. Like Martell Hight is going to spark something explosive in the passing game. He's going to jumpstart those wide receivers. Okay, that's going to happen. A guy that we talked about on the last episode, Blaise Berlowitz, his stock is soared through the roof, right? And even though it soared through the roof as a backup quarterback, I think that's extremely valuable, especially when you have a guy like Diego Pavia who does what he does and runs around and is involved in the run game, involved in the option. Like, he takes a lot of hits. Now, he'll be a year stronger, bigger, stronger, faster, so he'll be able to withstand those hits a little bit better. But nonetheless, he's going to be a big focal point in this offense in a lot of ways. So Blaise Berlowitz, after every play, I guess they're zipping up the chin straps now, but it's a zip. Diego Pavia takes off. Blaise Berlowitz is like, okay, helmet, zip, zip. And he's ready to go, because you're one play away from having Blaise Berlowitz as your starting quarterback, which, given his performance this spring, it's not a bad thing. So I'm really excited about the direction of this offense. I really think this identity is starting to kind of sink in. Could do without the pre-snap penalties, could do without the procedural penalties, but neither here nor there. It's spring. Get all that out, and it'll be okay. So, who's stock up, stock down defensively? Like, who's leading the charge over there? It's a tough group to really break down because they're so experienced. Like, nobody's stock is going to soar through the roof because everybody's kind of heading that way anyway. We'll break down the defense here next. Hey, have you been working in skilled trades, and do you need to get supplies? Well, you can get the supplies you need from a site made for skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Well, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for the trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. So join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Well, Thank you for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you to the Everydayers. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to all the support you provide. I really do appreciate it. And even the opposing fans that come in and talk a little bit of trash, I appreciate that as well. I think it makes the show fun, especially if you don't make it personal. I really like that. But you need a second listen. Locked On SEC is great. Chris Gordy had an exclusive later on today or earlier this week. Yeah, earlier this week. And he's got some great stuff going on over there. So you should check that out. Locked On Ole Miss is also another option. Stephen Willis. Well, he's going to have brain surgery. So I wish him the best of luck with that. And I think he's going to have a hiatus. So maybe check out the show for a little while. And then come back to it. And I'm going to guest host one time, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, talking about stocked up, stocked down. We're talking about spring practice. We're talking about guys that'll make a difference. Position groups that can make a difference. What the identity of this team looks like. And I tell you what, on defense, I was honestly a little worried about the transition from Clark Lea being the primary play caller to Steve Gregory being the primary play caller. And knowing now that he was calling plays in the last 4 games, it got a little more concerning because, I think as the season went on, the lack of pressure you got on the quarterback increased. And I think Nussmeier was able to do some things. I think Nico Iamaleava was able to do some things. I think, you had some situations to where it just didn't seem right. And to be honest, the more I thought about it, I was like, okay, it's like bad play calling. It doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, what's happening? And part of that was Steve Gregory getting used to calling the defense and being the defensive coordinator. Some of it was injuries, and I think some of it came from the direction of Clark Lea because it became more conservative. It became more preventative. And it was like, okay, let's not get burnt deep and let's not let up any big plays. And what you ended up doing was getting nickeled and dimed so badly that it just was counterproductive. And Steve Gregory's coming in and hopefully changing that. And judging from spring practice thus far, I think he's a lot more comfortable. I think last year was just, hey, let's just ride it out, and then we'll really just try to kind of look at this thing next year. And they against Georgia Tech, I think they had a brilliant game plan. And that, the more I think about it, that game, with Steve Gregory having time to kind of get his feet wet, because like when you're in a season, and when you're into a season as a coordinator, he wasn't coordinator yet, but when you're into a season as an assistant coach, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, and head coach comes to you, hey, good idea. I know I've been calling plays all season, but I'm tired. I want to be the head coach. I've got to be the head coach. I need you to call plays. That's probably not a great feeling, even though Clark Lea was being supportive. It's still probably not a great feeling. And I imagine it's hard to get your bearings. I can only imagine. And so I chalk it up to that. And that's what I'm going to say as of right now. Now, until he proves otherwise, I'm going to say he's going to be great until proven otherwise. And that's what I'm sticking to. That's what I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I was always in the camp of, hey, it's broke. Why are we trying to fix it? Or it's not broke. I'm sorry. Why are we trying to fix it? And so I say that to say that the reports coming out of spring practice about the defense are outstanding. I think on one hand, you're seeing a more aggressive unit. You're seeing a unit that wants to play more aggressive type coverages. You're seeing tighter coverage with the defensive backs. I don't know what you're getting pressure-wise because you can't hit the quarterback. So it's like, what do we believe in that regard, and how do we proceed from that? So, but when you look at stock up, stock down type situations, I think naturally at this point you're always going to you're always going to kind of settle in on the defensive backs, which talked about Dante Carter. He's going to be a great safety. He had some growing pains, which position probably, whatever factors into those growing pains. He had those last year. He played in all 11 games. He didn't show out stat wise, but he's somebody that I think was just getting very, very comfortable. So, but a guy that surprises me is Mason Carter on this defense. Okay, because we talked about like getting pressure on the quarterback is very, very important. And if you're going to do it, you just got to go ahead and do it. And so Mason Carter is he's filling in quite admirably. He is flashing his ability as a pass rusher. He's 6'5", 235 pounds. He's again he's putting pressure on the quarterback. He's I think there's some things that that he needs to do that will allow him to finish the sack and to make the play versus just getting pressure on the quarterback and forcing a throw. But I think he's somebody that's really getting some quality reps, and it's due to injury, and I get that. But in football, reps are reps, man. Like it doesn't matter. That's Tom Brady wouldn't be Tom Brady if Drew Bledsoe didn't get hurt. So you're looking at that and you're seeing, okay, well, this guy's getting his opportunity. I'm not saying he's going to jump right in and have a Tom Brady type career and start, but due to injury, like he may have carved himself out some time on the field. And with that being such an important role, maybe he's proving that, hey, I can get in this rotation too with Corday Sidnor and Linus Sunk and all those other guys, Miles Capers, Keanu Coate, like maybe I can get in the rotation. Maybe they can start doing some more hockey type subs. Like maybe I can be in the game at the same time. Like I'm slightly bigger. Well, I'm actually kind of the same size, but like maybe I can, maybe when we go two edges, we can be in the game. Like there's going to be some situations where they force, they're forced to put him in because they just can't deny his talent. So that's going to be interesting as we go. Talked about Dante Carter last episode, so I won't spend too much time on him, but he's showing out as well. He's been really good physicality wise, which is a welcomed thing. Talked about Martell Hight. He's just going to be a force on both sides of the ball. But another guy, Jalen Lackey, who I think he's somebody that's really kind of stepped it up a little bit at the cornerback position. He's a little bit stronger. He's doing some things at the corner, like maybe with him being a little bit thicker, a little bit stronger. Maybe he's somebody that can go down inside and play in the slot, play in nickel personnel type stuff. This position group especially is going to need some guys to step up because Martell Hight, his playing time is probably going to get reduced slightly at corner because he's going to add some other stuff on offense. But, Colby Taylor as well, I think is, he's unfortunately learned the hard way, and we hope it sank in. But he's not committing penalties. He's playing a much cleaner version of football at this point. So, I think his stock is proceed with caution still, but his stock is still rising nonetheless. But anyway, in basketball, we're going to switch gears in hoops. Lost a lot to the portal, but that doesn't mean this team can't still have a great core and still have something to build around. We'll talk about what that means next. Where is all my money going? Well, I checked my bank account and I'm wondering, where did all my money go? Between dining out, too much takeout, online shopping, and entertainment, I bet on the tournament a lot. It's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO. And it gives you full visibility and control over your finances. And Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you just stop managing your money and start building wealth. Now, talk about rich, talking about wealth. And when I started using Monarch, I just realized how much I was spending on food delivery, especially. Now I just budget smarter and save more. And this is all in one convenience. So instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances and tracking spending, and even plan long-term goals. And it makes for easy collaboration too. It's very collaborative. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, stay on the same page without all the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONCollege. Half off. For half off. I don't think you guys heard me right. For half off your first year.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
All right, wrapping up the show here, Locked On Vandy. Thanks for making us your first listen. At Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms is the place to go. Make sure you like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. So as we wrap up the show, I know everybody's concerned about the basketball portal and, concerned about, hey, what's coming back? Like, we haven't got a big man yet, or, Jason Edwards is going like that. I still think that's a bad idea. But one guy that I know is coming back is Devin McGlockton. Another guy, Tyler Nickel, he's coming back, right? And I'm very excited about that because Nickel became one of our better shooters. And so he's coming back. He is and he's going to be somebody that we can help build this team around, because I think you can get a dynamic guard that can kind of help facilitate with Tyler Nickel, and I think you're going to find some good stuff. So I'm really excited about the fact that he's doing, but with the whole retooling thing, you're having to build a whole new roster. Just about Edwards, MJ Collins, Jalen Carey, all in the portal. That's kind of the rest of the core of the team. I guess this is going to be. This is going to be a special. They're still confident. This is going to be a special group, and this is going to be some things that when they build the team, they're going to have to kind of rely on. Okay, well, what are our pieces now? How are we updating this thing? Like, we still need a big man. I still need somebody in the paint that can dominate, that can control the boards, play some defense, score a little bit, and also at the same time be able to run the floor, because that's what a Mark Byington team does. They run the floor. And when they're at their best, that's what's happening. They're running, they're playing defense, and they don't have to score 80 points to win per se. They just have to play some solid defense. They have to turn over, they have to create turnovers. They have to be able to rebound, and they have to be able to play in the paint when teams try to go big on them. And this is pretty standard basketball. This is pretty, this has been pretty evident too as they meander through their conference schedule and into the SEC tournament, into the NCAA tournament. Like St. Mary's showed them that all they had to do was just keep chipping away and keep leaning on them, and they would eventually crack and they would eventually fold. And they did. Tennessee did the same thing. Georgia did the same thing. Arkansas did the same thing. Texas did the same thing in the SEC tournament. It happens at times. Oklahoma did it to them. Kentucky did it to them. Like, they just lean on them and they just win in the paint. And that's really kind of what it came down to. And so when you're retooling the team, yeah, you got a good core. Like, McGlockton's a tough dude, but he's not a 5. He's not a center. You're expecting him who's like 6'8", 6'9" to do 6'11", how about said 6'12", 7-foot things. Like, those guys were able to body us down in the paint. And that became the difference in a lot of the games. That became the difference in Vandy winning 20 games versus probably, let's say, you're not going to win them all because somebody's going to get you. But let's say, do the math, like they probably would have won 25 games had they had some guys in the paint. But I'm pretty confident they're going to be able to build around this core, and they're going to have a solid team coming back. So, speaking of solid, got to roll. That's all I got for you guys. Locked on Vandy. Anchor down. Peace out. Later.